Yes. Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome to my heart-to-heart soulful conversation. One day late, but it's late by whoever says so or thinks they have a reason to. But actually, all in divine order. We had a little technical. Well, actually, last night we had some horrific storms here in North Carolina. And because of that, I just didn't feel comfortable because I thought the computer could shut down or lightning or whatever. So I told Vicki, can we do it today? We came on at 11, had a little technical glitch, and here we are almost 24 hours later, but we're here in the flesh. And Vicki, it's so great to see you. Thanks for
Oh,
joining.
it's great to see you too.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, we've had many conversations over the months on the phone and connected that way, but I've never encountered you. I would say this is almost physically, face to face anyway.
Good
And
enough
yeah, good enough for now, right?
for
But
now.
yeah, but I want to let everyone know that you're in for a real treat today. Reverend Vicki Sproles, aka Meahn. Did I
Meahn.
Meahn? I did.
I
I
know.
went over that whole thing. Meahn, like neon with an M. Okay, Meahn. And it's spelled actually, if y'all are interested, it's Meahn, Meahn. And
Correct.
so we're going to get into this lovely book. Vicki, you had sent this to me a few months ago, and it's a fabulous book. And we're going to get into
Thank
that
you.
more in a few minutes. But Truth Without Veils is the title of it. So we'll get into that. But I want to introduce you and who you are and where you came from and how you got here and all these awesome things that you do for the world and the universe. And, you have a very interesting background. And so I was picking your brain a little before we came on to
Yeah.
try and tie all this together. So I'm going to just ask you a few questions. I'm going to tell the audience a little bit about you, and then you can elaborate on it. But you completed training as a lay priestess through the Catholic Church. You served as a pre-Cana team facilitator and presenter during weekend retreats, and you wrote and presented sermons for special events.
Right.
So, okay, so you told me before we even get to the pre-Cana, I like the lay priestess. I didn't even know this was possible to be such a thing because you're a woman in the Catholic Church. So
Exactly.
does that happen? What is a lay priestess and what did it take to become certified in that?
We had to, a lay priestess has the same privileges, if you will, of a priest in rural areas where isn't an established there's an established parish, but one priest may serve many different parishes, and they can only get into, visit so much. So these remote uh, Catholic parishes, uh, they say mass every day, okay, in the Catholic Church, and whether anybody's attending or not, they do mass. And so they need you take the training so that you stand in the priest stead, and then you administer mass, you do the Eucharist. The only thing we weren't allowed to do was to perform marriages and baptisms, and they were done. The priest usually made his circle through there. It kind of sounds like the olden days, but it still applies today, about
Mhm.
every 3 months.
Wow.
But there's certain steps that you take, to be married in the Catholic Church. So all of that had to be done, the pre-Cana being one of them.
Hmm.
And pre-Cana is really nothing more than marriage counseling, basically, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, it's by Catholic doctrine, which I don't know how as people get to know me, they're like, how in the world did you ever get through pre-Cana? It's not easy.
Well,
Not easy.
it's interesting because in your little bio, you didn't grow up Catholic or in a
No,
Yeah. So, and you're obviously very tuned in spiritually. Your whole life is about spirituality. And so,
Since I was
how
4.
did this creep in?
Um,
Well, now I
which
want to back up a little bit too to the voice. You had a connection with Source when you were very young. So you've always been on the path, conscious or not.
Yeah, since I was 4, I have my favorite times of the day was at dusk, and I would go and swing on my swing set in the backyard. And I have two sisters, but I liked being alone. And I would go sit down on my swing set, and I would look up at the sky, and I was like, well, we did go to church, but my parents were singing duo, so we visited churches. We never really belonged to one specific church. We visited many different churches,
Hmm.
and to so that they would, sing. So I had exposure to all of the religions. And so um I remember this one time I was must have been about 7, and I, how the preacher, they greet you, as you're coming out of the church, thank you for coming, stuff like that. And so I said to him, I said, you ought not be talking about God like that because it's not true.
Whoa.
Oh, I got in so much trouble.
What
But
church was that? Do you remember?
and no,
What
a
denomination?
church that you don't say that at.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
but I used to think, those great big lights that they used to shine up in the sky at car lots
Oh,
and,
right. Mhm.
fairs and things like that. I would see the great big light in the sky when I was little, about, in my 4 and stuff. And I used to think that that was God coming down and just looking after all of us and saying hello.
Oh,
That's what I thought that was. And I actually have a birth memory. I remember being born, and I was very comfortable, and all of a sudden I just felt like somebody was squeezing me. It got to be very uncomfortable. And when I realized what was going on, at the time I couldn't articulate it, but now I can and have for many years. Basically, it was, damn it, not again. You
oh,
know, I did not want to be here. And for many, many years, I never changed my mind about that. I had
mhm.
no idea why I was here. I didn't like it being here. And I found life very strange, that we had to do things like eat and get in a car to have to go someplace. And we don't do that. We don't have to go through this where I'm from. I never felt like I belonged here until the who I refer to as the guys, because they've been with me for so long. And I'm like, well, it's about time you showed up. Now I know why I'm here.
That's you're here to teach us. Absolutely. Well,
Yeah,
where
we're
did you
to
come
right.
from? Where did you come from?
I was born officially in Parkersburg, West Virginia. I
I'm
swear
from
I was born.
Huntington, West Virginia.
Is that right? And I actually think I was born in the parking lot. And that was the end of it. We never lived there. And
Okay.
my family, my father was a rainbow chaser, so the grass was always greener. So we moved a lot. I was
Hmm.
all, a lot. I think I added it up once, and in 12 years of school, I was in 13.
Wow. Wow.
So we constantly were moving.
Well, they were singing duo. So what did they sing? Gospel music
Yeah,
or that's awesome. Well, that had to
yeah,
be a fun, interesting life. But
it
actually,
was.
when I asked you where you came from, I meant actually pre-birth. Do you
I,
remember where you came from?
I don't know. No, I kind of feel very drawn to the Palladian,
Hmm.
um, but not, that's as close of what we know. But I can look up in the sky and know I'm looking in the direction. I don't know what to name it other than it's not here on this planet.
Yeah.
I've been here before because I have many past life memories. Yeah, and actually the name Meahn was given to me. They spelled it to me and I wrote it down and I'm like, how do you even say that? And they said, we will tell you in a dream.
Wow.
Right. So that night they said the word Meahn, and that is your soul name. That is who you are. So, and that's how that began. And we each have a soul name, and I've been able to do that for other people, and they'll spell it to me. And I have a friend who wanted to know, and I spelled it, and it didn't make any sense to me at all. And they said, we will tell you in a dream. And it was pronounced Dimune.
Ooh, that's a pretty
Pretty
name.
name. So it's, the guys have always talked about you have an earth name, but that isn't your name. Not in God's realm. You are known by a different name. So it's, I don't know.
That's your, I guess, your eternal name, I guess you could
I
call it.
guess. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, I was given a Hindu name by Jaya many, many years ago. God, it's been 40 years ago, ahimsa. And I love that.
Oh,
And,
yes.
do no harm is ahimsa. And I always threaten to change my name to ahimsa because I love it. But,
Beautiful.
yeah, I do want to, I sort of have a idea of how we're going to evolve into your book and into the channeling. But, you've been so diverse spiritually. You grew up
Yes.
with your parents. You how did you end up in a Catholic environment?
I married one.
Okay, well, no mistakes, right? That's awesome. Well,
Yeah,
that's
I married one, and it's a very large family, and so um, that's how. But I
okay.
was really blessed.
Yeah.
My years with the church were uh, very blessed with the priest I had. I had Father Father Joe, Father Chuck. I've had many different priest, that Father Walker, one of my dear
Mhm.
favorites, and he would come over for dinner and we just talk,
Yeah.
just chat and have a glass of wine. And, they're really cool people,
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Well, it's every religion brings forth beautiful people. As we
absolutely.
were talking about, I've always been a seeker of that common thread that flows through everything, and it's
Sure.
man's imprint that's mucked it all up. But so much of what you teach in your book and what you've acquired through your life is exactly that truth, which is
Right.
beyond description, beyond labels. It's unconditional, all of those things. And we'll get into that a little more. But you say, I know you're a Reiki master, energy healer. You do essential oils. Check, check. I do both of those. And
Yeah.
you were ordained in 1998 by Reverend Dr. Barbara Henshaw. I was ordained in 95 by her. What a blessing and a gift. So we have many similarities.
Yeah.
And and you're a certified grief counselor, and you've been a hospice volunteer. So what led you into the grief work?
Well, ooh, I guess you would call it in today's language, death doula.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And um, I know in lives prior that I I would call it the death walker. And it's always been something very easy for me to do. And whether I know the person, I don't necessarily need to know. I can, if there's a struggling spirit out there, if they want, if spirit wants me to assist, I will know it. I don't trespass. I don't conjure on
Mm.
anything, never. And so it all kind of goes together. Grief counseling, hospice, and death doula. They're like triplets, actually, in many ways. And it's about the process of helping people make their transition with a loving guide, if you will, to help guide through the fears that they may have and to deliver them into the arms of love. And it has just been an easy thing, if you will, for me to do. I mean, it's as easy to find someone's energy and to do energy work on them just naturally comes easy. It's like getting up from this room and walking out onto my screen porch. It's really
Mhm.
no big deal.
Right.
And so yeah, I've been called a witch more than once, trust me. But I'm not.
Yeah, I know. We know better. Well, you're good. Glenda the Good Witch, right? That's,
Yeah, I'm Glenda.
yeah, that's right. Well, so I didn't really plan on going here, but now that you bring up the death doula, the hospice volunteering, death is, I think that we don't really live life fully until we overcome our fear of death. And
Correct.
so many people are petrified of death and what lies beyond, the uncertainty. Do you have any words of hope and wisdom? I mean, what are your concepts of heaven and hell and the eternal, or what's next in your mind? What's been your experience?
I could give you many different personal experiences with people. I would say, in essence, read Truth Without Veils. It's all in there.
Mhm.
And I will say that is channeled messages and teachings. I
Mhm.
wish I knew everything in that book. I get the message, I write it down in notebooks, I close a notebook. When I read that book, I read it just like everybody else.
Mm.
It's not my book. I've always referred to it as Michael's book, you know, but it's so when it's
And you're
really
talking
all
about
in.
Archangel Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have a tendency, I think, to think of Archangel Michael's and all the archangels as entities, a singular entity. And I've come to know that they are more of a part of a collective consciousness, but they also, spirit is so loving, and God is just so loving and magnificent that he knows what we struggle with in this dimension of time and space. So it helps us to say Archangel Michael in a
Hmm.
singularity form, because we relate to each other in a singularity manner. Like
Right.
I'm speaking to you right now and you're speaking to me. If we weren't that, it would be, well, for one thing, we wouldn't be here. But so I think that it's, to say Archangel Michael, we're speaking of a very huge collective consciousness. And I refer to it as Michael's book because he's the one that holds me to task, in a very most loving way. But he's the one who is to tell me, what to put in it, how to put it down, and Words were not to be altered. I knew what I could alter for the sake of ease of reading, what I was not allowed to alter. So it's not my work. It's not my book.
Mm,
I hold no possession over that book. None,
yeah.
zero, nada.
Well, it's interesting. First of all, I'm sure you're familiar with the teachings of Abraham
Sure.
and Mr. Hicks, and then Theo, who's also a friend of mine, Sheila, channels Theo. She actually was Esther's mentor. And
Oh, wow.
anyway, they both say the same thing as you're saying, basically that Theo and Abraham are a consortium of
Correct.
archangels. So it is a collective of I think higher consciousness. And I think it's just the God mind, the love mind.
Yes, yeah.
And you
And
also
Gabrielle is one to, he's the joy and the messenger and just, and I said once, I never really considered you'd being such a happy guy. And I'm paraphrasing this. He said, why wouldn't I? I'm the one that brings good news. Of course, I'm
yeah.
always happy. So if I get real upset about something, I feel it. He'll be tapping me on the shoulder, and I feel his presence. And well, I always feel they're always around here. It's like living with roommates. But he'll tap me on the shoulder and say, "Are you done yet?" And I'm like, "No, no, I'm still mad." And I'm honestly, I'm enjoying being mad right now. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
and then he'll say, done yet? And I'm like, no. And all right, fine, Gabrielle, I'm done now. Tell me. And he will always lovingly show me the teaching, the learning lesson in what I was going through. And I'm like, okay, you got me.
Yeah. Oh, that's sweet. Oh, that's wonderful.
You
Well,
got me on that one.
oh gosh. Well, something else, I love the synchronicity and the similarities of what I would call people teaching the higher message. And the idea, like Helen Schuckman, we were talking about the Course in Miracles earlier. You've been a student of that, and she was the channel for the course. And from my
Love that.
understanding, it's fabulous. And, at the end of the day, she just basically said she was the channel.
I'm
It
the
was,
secretary.
and she
That's
said,
it.
and she even said, I wish I could accept, I know it's true, but I'm just not able to accept all of it or believe it yet. So, that right there, she just was, got that tap on the shoulder. This is A Course in Miracles. Please take notes. And for 7 years, she could get up in the middle of a sentence and be
Oh,
handwritten.
yeah.
It was all handwritten. She has all these little notebooks, and she'd
Yep.
get up in the middle of the sentence, go have dinner, go to bed, next day, pick right up.
I
And I'm
get it.
sure it's the same. Did you do yours longhand
Yeah,
too?
oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If my phone was handy, I can type pretty fast. So I would put it in my phone. Let me see. I don't hold a time frame with the guys. Um, they can, and I've heard that I should be more disciplined about that, but I personally, that hasn't been my experience, and I'm really not keen on following that because life is what it is. And when I need to call on them, I don't expect I have to wait for an appointment to do so.
Mhm.
So I call on them anytime I need them, and I feel like they deserve the same right. So yeah, they've got me up in the middle of the night. Yeah, they've got me out of the shower. Yeah, they've got me driving down the road in the car.
Mhm.
And I've written messages down on paper towels, for heaven's sakes. It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it's free reign. You
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
good with that. I'm and
why they chose you.
Yes, I'm totally good with that. I never believed that if we are to talk to God in prayer or whatever one's faith is, it really, it's all has that thread of commonality, like you say, Charlotte, that, well, doesn't it make sense that God can talk to us?
Hmm. Yeah.
Makes sense to me. So why
Yeah.
not? So it was never a foreign thing to me for God to speak. I didn't struggle with that.
Right.
And I wasn't raised with a fear of evil or the devil or heaven and hell. I wasn't brought up like that. So
Yeah.
I didn't have that to overcome.
Right.
And
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. I share this often. I grew up in a Methodist church.
yeah,
Even it was very positive, even though, I never had this concept of a vengeful God, or I was never afraid of hell. It was but other people have had different experiences. I'm grateful
sure.
for my family and the church I grew up in and all that. And it really allowed me, it wasn't a negative experience that got me to spread my wings. It was more curiosity. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but the concept of hell. What do the guys say about that? Hell or fear? It's because in A Course in Miracles, only love is real. Nothing real can be
There you
threatened.
have it. It
Nothing can be this. Yeah.
fear is a, and again, the Truth Without Veil says this so much better and explains it so much better than I'm able to. And I wish I could do it in the way that the book does, but I can't. So the fear is the absence of love. And so it's kind of like if you had a glass in your hand and there was nothing in it. And let's say you're thirsty, and
Mm-hmm.
we're going to call water, for this example, love. All right. And we're going to call the glass the holder of love. We're going to call the empty glass the void of water. Well, fill the glass up.
Yeah,
Done. you
that's
know,
right. I love that.
you
Yeah.
know where's fear? It's the void of love. And we have such a hard time, I think, loving ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And we're our worst enemy when it comes to that. And trust me, I am no saint. Anybody that's heard my mouth go will attest to that. And it's I don't it's just simply the void of love. I think what people miss most is that when we do our prayers or our ceremonies, or I love rituals and ceremonies. I do a lot of mine in the shower. Um, that when we ask to wash this from me, when let's say I'm in the shower and I'm like, I have had the worst damn day, you know, just wash. I call it cooties. Just wash all the cooties down the drain. Just let them go down into the drain, and I let Mother Earth transform them into goodness to feed the flowers and the trees and everything. And in its place, fill me with love. I think it's important that when we do our work, our own journey work, that as we're asking release from whatever fear it is or habit, or I don't, it doesn't matter, that we need to fill it with love. We don't leave it void. You can't, I don't want the cooties to go down the drain and leave me with this great big gap, because I would rather it was okay. Now I've rinsed it off. All the cooties are down the drain. And I always say hello to the water and I call it, beckon it forth for all the energy. It's a giver of life on this planet. And so once the cooties are washed down the drain, then I let the shower come over me and I call on divine to be present within and wash over me and fill that void that I wanted to go away. And that's important.
It's like a
That's
baptism every time you take a shower, right?
baptism, absolutely.
Yeah. And
Baptism.
it's
Baptism is exchange, personally speaking, is the replacement of fear for love. You do that if you do a kind act for someone that you don't even know, or for someone who's in need, or you share, or you extend your love to another, whether it's friendship or relationship, doesn't matter. That kind of love that we pass to another is like the Holy Grail. There's nothing more pure than that.
Right.
When you can love without expectation of return.
Well, and that was this, what was it? The oracles are really how you, each segment, I guess, is called an oracle and it stands on its own. And you had asked me to read 36, I believe. And that to me is exactly what you're talking about, is love without conditions. And that's, and it transcends religion. Religion is so limiting. And I'm not anti-religion. I'm pro-religion,
no, me neither.
God. But I think that, you get to a point where it's so much more expansive and it is unconditional and all encompassing.
Yeah, I can't imagine, I think about it and I think, what would the Holy Grail be? The purity of love. And there isn't, that's why it's sought. Isn't that odd? You see it in movies and all this and that. And we spend our entire lives lots of times seeking love and expanding and seeking and growing and expanding that. What a beautiful journey. What a beautiful journey.
Indeed. Well, and it's love is not based on condition. And I keep going back to A Course in Miracles, but there's if you've never watched it, you or anyone watching, it's on YouTube, The Story of A Course in Miracles. It's I've watched it 50 times over the years at least. And it's just the history, and it talks about Helen Schuckman's story and brings in Bill Thetford and the whole thing. But there's her dream, she speaks of her dream. Glynis Johns is the narrator, and she's speaking on behalf of Helen. And she had this dream where she went down this little canal and in a boat and went into a cave and found a scroll, and she rolled it open, and there was nothing to the left, nothing to the right. So no past, no future, just right here, right now. And it said, God is, or love, God and love are one and the same to me. And everything is love. I mean, ultimately, it's our judgment, our desire for things to be different that make it unlike love, but everything.
Yeah. Charlotte, please tell me the name of that YouTube again.
It's The Story of A Course in Miracles. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and I recommend it to anybody. I'll give a plug for myself right now, by the way.
Okay.
Because I'm doing and I teach A Course in Miracles on Friday. Everyone's welcome. You can reach out to me 11 a.m. on Zoom. But on the 18th at I think 10 a.m. It's on my website, charlottemcginnis.com. I'm offering a introduction, 1 hour introduction, and not just for beginners, but people who want to understand the history and where it came from, some of the language of the course, what it means, what's Jesus' role. So does Jesus, speaking of your guides, does Jesus ever enter into your mix?
Yes, and in multiple ways. His role is, I don't know if you've had a chance to read Oracle 1, it's the creation story. And basically they rewrote Genesis.
Mhm.
And I'm going like, you guys are really gonna get me in trouble for this one. I mean, I just sometimes I just have to wow, y'all, you know, you really want me to write that down? And the um that's a tough one to try to take Jesus as we are, as Christianity is concerned, and to really, if you took a rose bud, and you started peeling off the layers, and you arrived at the very center part, and even the stem, even the thorns, and get down to the tip of the root, it's inclusive. And his role is like that. It's so multifaceted, and truth without veils, I know it's in there a lot. I'd have to do a word search because I really don't know where it is in there. Again, I have no memory of what is in there. I read it like everybody else, but I know it is in there.
Mhm.
And so it's yeah. I don't want to step on toes here with everybody, and so you know, yeah, truth without veils does it more justice than I could ever do.
Well, I hear you. I've come to, I was just, I think sharing last week, Jesus, I'm a big Jesus person and always felt a connection to Jesus.
Sure.
And now it makes so much more sense to me. He comes to us in the Course in Miracles, for example, as our elder brother, teacher, and friend.
Right.
And he came here to demonstrate what is possible in all of us. And so he's a way shower. And so it's
Very
not
good.
like we're separate from him. He's just chosen to fill the cup up with love, as you say, more than he has with fear and judgment.
Correct.
And I think that, we get caught up. I'll include myself in this. I'm recognizing it more and more, but in judgment, and I think right now the world is everything is up. I mean, it's just kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
I'd like to know what the guides say, like right now on planet Earth, but everything's up, and I certainly understand um, one's natural, I would say, with our programming and our history and our past, we may align politically or spiritually a certain way, but it doesn't mean we have to crucify those who don't think like us. And
Correct.
I've been very interested in, uh, it's been interesting see some of my real spiritual friends, their vengeance and hatred towards one side or another. And I'm like, wow, it goes back to, focus on what you love instead of bashing what you don't like. But
Yeah.
yeah, but what do the guides say anything, about this time on planet Earth? I mean, it's
They
definitely,
do.
yeah. So
They
what's the
do.
message? What's the,
It's in there someplace. I just know that they do.
Okay.
They talk about the new earth. They talk about, they do address the virgin birth. They do address crucifixion. They do address the churches, not just Catholic Church, but the multiple churches. And they do address all of that. And the new earth, I'm listening. We are the new earth. It's not about waiting for the new earth to arrive. When we are co-creator of the new earth, it rests upon each and every one of us collectively. And however, that being said, there are lots of times where it looks like when my eyes are diverted off, I'm listening. And when our eyes are, when our view of what's going on in the world is viewed upon what we read in the paper, we need to come to an understanding that it is an attempt to increase. Think of the scale of justice like this, the two plates. It's got being shown a scale with the chains and the two plates, that does this.
Yeah, right.
And it's an attempt to weigh, place more emphasis on fear than it is love. However, the amount of fear can be, and I think this is important also for us to know, is that it doesn't matter in the end and be of it all, honey, it does not matter how great the fear gets or
Right.
how great it appears, because love, unconditional, absolutely pure love has more power, even though it's a grain of sand compared to all that's out there to pronounce fear and to promote fear. A grain of love holds more power than all of that. And
yes.
we are that in the flesh. And the more we can say, yeah, just get out of here, to all of the fear and engaging in it and, buying into it and everything, we equally could use our energy to look at, and when you're overcome by it, find something that brings you joy. For me, it's a field of daisies or a field of sunflowers. So in my mind, I just see, I close my eyes and I just envision a field of daisies, and instantly my mood, my emotional energy changes.
That is beautiful. Well, it is. I think it's about, again, recognizing when we're going down the detour of fear, taking that pause and shifting our focus to that which uplifts us. And
right, it's like, do I really want to spend my money, which energy we'll use money? Do I really want to spend my money on that? Or do I really want to spend my energy promoting that? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm going that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the new earth, we hold it in our hands. Don't don't sit on our hands. It's in our hands, and it's up to us we're the ones that will bring it forth.
I couldn't agree more.
Everybody on the planet, whether they realize it or not.
And
it's
been my belief and understanding that, it's basically, I'll surmise this loosely, but in the Course of Miracles, and this resonates with me, it says, ultimately, until we all get it, nobody gets it. In other words, the disappearance of the universe is taking that last step, holding our brother's hand and no one exempt. And
Yeah, absolute.
and that is that's a tough one for people to accept sometimes.
Absolute.
But
I
we're
know there's someplace in the book that it talks about, be cautious. Paraphrasing again. They do talk about the one seated next to you, or the one you pass on the street, has been your master, and you have been their slave, and you have been the slave, and they have been your master. All of this, you have been the righteous one, you have been the murderer. It's there's we've all held hands in one form of another, whether it was just in our thoughts. Have can I honestly sit here and say I've never had oh my God, I've really just sucked you into the next universe, a feeling. Of course I have,
yeah.
and our emotions are, do I act on it? No, of course not. But have I felt it? Yeah. Now it's up to me how long that feeling lives in my heart and becomes part of me. And
Right.
that only speaks to the amount of fear that I hold within me. It all goes back to that.
Yeah, beautifully said. Yeah. Well, I mean, and I mentioned to you earlier that this book is the way it's presented with these oracles standing independent and on their own, with each with its own beautiful message. It lends itself to a book study, which I'm going to nudge you and encourage you to do that. I think it's perfect. And now that you're a Zoom master,
Oh yeah, I'm a real master.
so, but
I'll be
anyway,
calling you a lot.
yeah, there you go. But you got it. Well, I'm just one step above you, right? Just a little bit, but I'm no master either. But a couple of things in the book. In the very beginning, I love this simple statement. It says, "Within each of us is an inner voice of love longing to be explored." And,
Yes.
and I think that that's what this is about, that love is just waiting on it's our invitation. And
Just like the new earth.
yeah, exactly. And a
Yeah.
couple of other things that sort of kicks off the book. And then you've got, at the end, you've got those awesome seeds of thought, which are just individual statements with a lot of punch and power. And you can just feel the peace and the love in each and every one of those. And then I love what, where is it here? The blessing, and when we maybe we'll the awakening, the
Wow.
what awakening is. That's so beautiful. And so, all of these are there's so much beauty in this book. And it's one of those books you could just keep going back to over and over and over.
Yeah.
And so I
Again,
want
I
to
was just the secretary there and not my words.
So let me ask you this. You were kind enough to send me this a few months back. And but I know it's not available in bookstores. How do people get this book if they want it?
They can contact me through Facebook or by phone or email and request one. I was directed that it was given. I understood this from the beginning. This is a gift to mankind from God, Spirit, Michael, whoever you want to call it, and inclusively. It's an unconditional gift of love to all of mankind, and it is it is to be freely given. And there is an option to, for now, the printing is coming out of my funds, which are, as you well know, printing is quite costly. And there is an option to pay it forward, so to speak, to, you know, make a contribution, and I have a special account that is just for the printer, for having it printed. And if people want to donate for more copies to be printed, that's fine. None of the money that's donated this personally comes to me. It goes to my printer.
Yeah.
I have a lovely printer that is just adorable. And yeah. So it's, when I know I've sent a lot of books down to Gainesville, and if you want me to send, I'm really low right now. I need to do a reprint. And I'm hoping that funds build up enough to help kind of compensate for that, but to pay that printer. But because I've printed it 3 times.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's,
I will definitely put all of your contact info when I post the video.
Yeah, it's in the front there. You'll see it. And if you want to, peg that, I don't know how to do that, but
yeah,
that would be, I have an account set up. I have an address there, a phone number, a Venmo account, and a Cash App. And so, for if there's interested in helping, toward the cost of printing.
Yeah.
And I struggle, and I'm not gonna, I guess my feelings about it, Charlotte, honey, is that if I can trust the universe to do this work through me, it's not my work. It is not my work. I'm the secretary. That's it. And I do not, do I deserve anything for my time? No, I don't believe that I do. Funds? No, I did this for you and you and you and you, because they wanted it to give it to you and you and you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how else better could I spend my time? That's kind of the way I look at it. And if I can trust the universe to do this work through me, then I think I can trust the universe to take care of me.
Amen.
That's kind of the way I look at it.
Well, we're on the same page there big time, because I have always, as long as I've been in professional ministry, whatever, I have always had resistance to compensation for it, because I do feel like it's just a gift. So I'm grateful that I'm able to do everything I do, as a gift. And I do just say, half kidding, I mean, I would welcome any support, because it does get kind of expensive, as you know. But either way, it's going to continue, as your work will continue. And either we trust source or we don't. And it's for me, it doesn't feel right to put a number on any of it.
No.
Met, and we're on the same page there, because it's and I understand all viewpoints on that, but I think we're on the same page on that. Yeah.
Well, bless your heart. I'm very, I send you much love for that. Because that's exactly the way I feel as well. And I get it. It costs Jason money to do this, and I get that. But, and I don't know. I'm just not going to worry about it.
Well, good for you. Hey, have you ever thought of doing it, doing it online, the book, just as a PDF? That way, that could work.
Yeah, it is in a PDF, actually, because I have to give it to Jason Jason is my printer. he owns a print shop where I go,
Mhm.
and I have to put it in a PDF for him.
Mhm.
But how to get that online, sweetheart, I am no techie savvy.
Just ask your guides if that's your next step, and I'm sure we could find a way to make that happen. But if you want to get it out there, PDF would be the way to go, and people can't alter or change it. And you know, it's a good possibility, and that seems to be where things are going now anyway. So
And I've thought of having a YouTube channel or something, and I don't understand that much either, but and just have some, like a loop of of soft music and lights or something,
yeah.
and just simply read it,
Oh yeah,
and
be beautiful.
just simply read it. And um and I have put the word out here in Tally to find somebody to help me with that techie savvy stuff
Mhm.
and to get me going. And but I have
Well,
no, yeah, so far I haven't
putting it
found
out there
anybody, but I'm
today.
still looking.
Yeah.
The
Well, the
right person
universe
will
has big
come.
ears. The universe has
Yeah,
big ears. We're putting it out right now. Anybody
yeah.
listening, if you can do it or you know somebody who can help, you know, I think this is part of the new earth is offering our gifts freely and supporting each other's visions and
Bless your heart.
messages. Yeah.
Bless your heart for saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, everybody.
Yeah, I share those feelings very strongly. And that's why it was also, it's not for resale. Somebody can't slap a price ticket on it, and it's not to be used for personal gain. It was a gift given, and I
Mhm.
give and putting it to print is my way of obedience to what I know that Spirit asks of me.
Well, that's awesome. And you're awesome. And it's been my pleasure to chat with you over these past few months and to finally share this time together. And I'm sure we'll have many more conversations down the road.
Oh, I sure hope so. I've enjoyed this immensely, and I'm familiar with your area. I love it up there.
Well, we're always up for good visitors here. So if you're ever up here, knock on our door. Love to see you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
It's very good.
anything you want to close with before we sign off?
Now, I will say that if anybody has any questions about anything relating to anything, really, whether it's truth without veils or whether it's about anything I've said here, um, just messenger me, I guess that's what you call it, on Facebook,
Mhm.
and on Reverend Vicki Sproles, just message me, and I'll do my utmost to answer, and as best I can. Mostly when it comes to this, I rely on Spirit, but they're right here, so
Well,
we're
I'll
never far
get all
away.
those links, all those links to contact you on there, Vicki. And thank
Okay,
you again, and many blessings. And I look forward
many,
to digging
many.
deeper into this. And be well, and much love, many blessings, and thanks everybody for tuning in and share
Yeah.
the good word. All you gotta do is push that share button and pass this along. So thanks
Oh,
everybody.
bless
Thanks.
your heart, and thank you so much, and so many blessings, and much love to you, Charlotte, and your partner, and to all that you do. You
Well,
amaze me and all that you accomplish. So
it's my passion and I love what I do. So that
yeah,
makes,
me too.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very
Well,
much so.
yeah. Well,
Take
thank you
care.
so much.
Much
Thanks,
love.
everybody. You too. Bye now.
Blessings.